Good afternoon. Welcome to Generation Movie Mini Reviews on a Friday, 4:30. It's December 1st. We're 24 days away from Christmas, but we have a couple of gifts that are under the tree a little bit early for movie fans, and I wanted to talk about them this week because I got to see Godzilla Minus One early on Wednesday, and I wanted to make sure if you're thinking about going to see it, if you're a Godzilla fan, heard a little bit about it, I want to give you the ins and outs on this one. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this movie called Candy Cane Lane, which is premiering on Amazon Prime. Eddie Murphy and Tracy Ellis Ross, in a full-fledged Jumanji-like Christmas comedy. Okay. The other thing I want to discuss really quick, if you haven't seen it, you must go out and immediately find the Furiosa Mad Max Saga trailer. It's epic, and if it's half as good as Fury Road, we're in for quite a treat on May 24th, 2024. So, it's 5/24/24 is when that's opening, and it's Anna Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. And it's the character that Charlize Theron played in the Mad Max Fury Road. Looks great, but let's start with the one that I'm most excited about this weekend. If you're a Godzilla fan, if you watched Godzilla with your dad on the couch in Saturday afternoons, or anywhere with your dad at any point in your life, or with your mom or whoever was a Godzilla, this is a throwback. It's the 7th anniversary of Toho. And I just read, Joe, good afternoon. Looking forward to the new Godzilla effect. Almost caught up on the new Apple show. Yeah, the Apple show, there's so much Godzilla content right now. The Monarch show, which of course is the Godzilla Kong universe, or the Monsterverse, as they call it. This is classic Toho Godzilla, though. So Godzilla Minus One is it's not just a Godzilla flick, though. That's the remarkable thing about the movie, is that it not only is it a Godzilla flick with all of the Godzilla accoutrements, but it is a movie that is about survivor's remorse. It takes place right after the war ends with Japan and America. It takes place with a little bit of a stripped down Japan after, basically the economic status of Japan after World War II was called zero, because basically they were taken back to a point where they could barely function economically. When Godzilla shows up in this movie, he takes Japan to -1. So he drops them a level below with sheer devastation, sheer destruction, and of course, all the destruction that's been leveled on from the United States during the war. And Godzilla has always been a kind of an allegory about, nuclear radiation and the idea of everything that's happened to the Japanese people. The interesting thing about this movie is it's about the main character is a kamikaze pilot named Kochi. And that's another thing I need to explain before we get going on anything. It is completely in Japanese with American subtitles. So I know some folks don't like to read or don't go to the movies to read specifically, but it's well worth it. There's a lot of great sequences. It's very much a character piece. It's very much a movie that is focused on the characters that are impacted by Godzilla and not necessarily about Godzilla fighting other things or fighting. Godzilla is in this movie taken back to his earliest form, which is devastating monster, like absolutely devastating, walking on people, crushing buildings with his tail, doing all kind like biting trains in half. And it's fun. It's also, there's a serious tone to it with regards to the allegories about war and about survivor's remorse. Kochi is a kamikaze pilot who basically takes a cowardly way out and lands his plane, in the middle of the night, and you basically doesn't deliver his payload because he doesn't believe that it's the right thing to do, and also he's scared of dying. So he's very much a character we can be rooting for to get over this remorse. When he gets back home, he finds his parents have been killed. He finds a young girl and a child that have also been orphaned and marooned, and they form this bond and family. And over the course of time, he finds, not only himself, but he finds friends that he worked with, sweeping the mines out of the harbor. The basically the most dangerous job in the history of Japan with regards to cleanup after World War II. Basically, getting all of the mines that Japan itself had laid, plus all of the mines that America had laid. It's absolutely incredibly detailed and scary work, and it makes for a real interesting backdrift to this Godzilla movie coming. And Godzilla shows up, and Godzilla destroys things, and Godzilla's incredibly dangerous and incredibly just not conducive to helping the human race in any way. So it's very much a throwback, and it's the beginning. It's the 70th anniversary of Godzilla, and it's probably the greatest Toho movie about Godzilla since the originals. It's just a really great, fun Godzilla movie that's really well done, amazing to watch, amazing to look at. The visuals, he looks the best and scariest he's looked in years. And I know this generation and my generation have enjoyed the Kong verse, the monster verse with Godzilla and Kong and all Ghidorah and the recent ones that have been put out by Legendary. But this is a different take, and this is a much scarier take. And it involves it's very much got a men on a mission feel to it. Basically Kochi is put together with a sea captain. He's put together with a doctor and a kid who kind of helps him do things, but who missed the war. And they are tasked with trying to stop Godzilla, or coming up with a plan to stop Godzilla. And it's a really cool plan. It's got the makings, it's got the makings of Jaws. It's got the makings of great monster movies where you don't know if the protagonists are going to make it out. And it's really well done. And Godzilla is terrifying in this movie. He's absolutely terrifying. Doesn't care, and his breath weapon is absolutely stunning. It is stunning to look at. It's stellar. There is a moment where he is towering above everything, and it's just firing the breath weapon. The breath weapon lays off 8 mushroom clouds in a row going up, and it's bigger than he is. Absolutely stunning. You need to see it on the biggest screen possible. You need to see it with a crowd. Although it's a subdued film, because again, it has very serious things going on in it. Like I said, the detailed survivor's remorse, the idea that Kochi has survived a war that he wasn't supposed to survive, and what the ramifications are on whether or not he thinks he's actually alive, whether or not he thinks he deserves to live, whether or not he, he doesn't really tell his friends or anybody what he did or what he went through, and he eventually comes back into contact with the guy that called him out on his cowardice. And when they come up with the plan, he's the person that kind of keeps the plan together. And it's got great moments. It's well done. Special effects are beautiful. Look at this Godzilla picture. He is stunning. And when his breath weapon starts to go off, a couple things that are absolutely intricately really cool. All of his back spines light up as the breath weapon is starting to go off. And also the breath weapon is not held in by his entire body. So it is cool to look at. It's wonderful to watch. It's one of the great monster movies of our time. And you can totally enjoy the legendary films for the cool bangarang fight films they are. But this is also really well done. And if you can get past the subtitles and everything else, you're in for a treat. Especially if it's something you grew up with, especially if it's something you love. My cousin reminded me of the years my dad used to set the projector screen and we would watch Godzilla on the projector screen, and he would show it for all the kids, in the family. So I was there. I'm there in heart and spirit. It's a wonderful movie. It's really well done. It's got great performances. It's Takashi Yamazaki is the director. He's the writer. It's the 70-year anniversary of Godzilla, and it's absolutely stunning in every way. Godzilla Minus One, one of the coolest monster movies you'll see. And again, if you can get past the subtitles, because I know it's a problem for us, there's really good performances to be had. It's really well done. It's dark. It's fun. It's epic in every single way, and I can't recommend it highly enough. Now, the other movie we're going to talk about is not necessarily a home run. This movie called Candy Cane Lane is Eddie Murphy, who's in the midst of what I foresee as a comeback, because he's got his hard R-rated movie when he did the movie that, about the life of he did a movie about the life, and now he's doing this movie, which is basically an all hands on deck family film for Amazon Prime. My biggest disappointment is that this movie isn't getting released to theaters, because I think it would have played well in theaters, and I think it might have helped theaters out a little bit, especially in the next couple weeks as we get a little bit bogged down with releases that they're waiting on. But Candy Cane Lane it's a hybrid comedy. It's got a lot in common with Jumanji. And I don't want to give too much away, but I will say basically it's about a guy who lives on Candy Cane Lane. Candy Cane Lane in El Segundo, California is a place where they celebrate Christmas a lot, and they have very competitive house decorating Christmas contests. And Chris Carver is Eddie Murphy's character. He lives with his family. Family is starting to get older and starting to kind of, youngest daughter is about at the point where she's going to find out the hard truth about Santa. Oldest daughter is applying to colleges, including colleges that Chris doesn't want to go to. Son isn't applying himself in math, but has found his calling as a tuba player in the band, and also as a musician. And Tracy Ellis Ross is his wife, who's working on a promotion of her own at her job. And Chris loses his job. They make the announcement on a local cable access show that Candy Cane Lane this year is going to have a competition for $100,000 for the best lighting display or the best house display. And Chris goes all out trying to do that. He stumbles upon a small store underneath one of the that he didn't know existed called Kringles. And he goes in and he meets this person named Pepper, played by Jillian Bell. And Pepper offers him this magical tree that basically he can make a wish on. He doesn't know it at the time. He can make a wish on and will secure his victory in the Candy Cane Lane competition, which is neither Christmassy nor healthy. Turns out Jillian Bell is playing Pepper of the Elf, who is she's a Santa runner rogue, who basically really believes that most people are naughty, and she makes deals with them in an effort to capture and trap them in her store. It's high concept. It turns out that he buys a tree that basically is the 12 Days of Christmas, the song, the 12 Days of Christmas. And the gig here is that the 12 Days of Christmas tree comes to life. And he has to capture the 5 gold rings before time runs out on Christmas Eve. All the while keeping his family together, and all the while realizing that families don't necessarily break apart. They get stronger and adapt. And so it's got funny moments, it's got high edge moments, it's got moments with lots of special effects. It's got gooses a laying, it's got pipers piping, it's got drummers drumming. It's got all of these things in the CGI. In some ways, it has a Santa moment. It is not the best movie it could be. It's directed by Reginald Hudlin, who of course has worked with Eddie Murphy on so many amazing movies. It's written by Kelly Younger. But Reginald Hudlin is one of the great directors of one of the great African American directors we have. They're just great directors, to be honest. But he, if you don't know who he is, the movies he's produced Django Unchained, he's produced the Boondocks, he's executive producer of the Boondocks. He's made a lot of movies, and some of them haven't included the best we've had from Eddie Murphy. And so it's he directed the original House Party, he directed Boomerang, he directed. So it's got a lot of cool things going on in it. It's got Eddie Murphy. It doesn't get the curse because it's PG, but it's got an Eddie Murphy vibe to it where he's just the everyman. He loses his job. He gets, he basically throws everything into this contest to make Christmas better for his family and to try to win the 100,000. And, of course, it brings the family together trying to stop this evil elf Pepper. Is it a perfect Christmas movie? No, but it is the only Christmas movie we have this year that's a real Christmas movie that's made specifically for the season. We've had a couple years where we've had things like the Christmas Chronicles and a couple of really cool things that have ended up on streaming. But this is a lot of fun, and Eddie Murphy is having a good time, and the cast is having a good time. It's got standout performances by Nick Offerman. It's got standout performances from a few other people, Tracy Ellis Ross in particular. And it's just one of those movies where you either like it or you don't. And I think most people are going to end up watching it on Amazon Prime and liking it. And Nick Offerman is in it. Nick Offerman is one of my favorite, character comic actors working. Gives it 110%. He plays a character named Pip. It's got David Alan Grier appearance, which never goes wrong. Chris Redd is also in it. If you like some Saturday Night Live people. And I just think it's one of those movies that I don't know that it's going to endure. But it could endure, and it could be one of those movies that we watch every year. It's pretty funny. It's got some good special effects. It's got some cool concepts. And Jillian Bell really knocks it out of the park as the evil elf. So, it's very much in the vein of Santa Claus and these movies where high concept, and put a major comic actor inside the concept. The movie it most reminds me of when I watched it was Jumanji. It's not as good as Jumanji. But it is trying really hard to make your Christmas a little bit better. And it should have been released in theaters. But it didn't. but Godzilla Minus One is, so you can go see that. So I just wanted to get on today and talk about some of the big releases on December 1st. Tell you I'm going to try to hit some more as we progress to the next couple of weeks. You know, we got Wonka coming up, which is going to be huge. We got Aquaman coming up, which is probably not going to be huge. And I also want to talk a little bit about the Furiosa trailer. So I wanted to come in and do that today. If you enjoy my little diatribes, if you enjoy getting these mini reviews to tell you what you should be paying attention to and what you should be going to see, please like and follow our YouTube channel on the Indie Escape Network. It takes a minute, less than a minute, to subscribe on YouTube, but it means the world to me and all my friends here at the Indie Escape Network. We also have a Facebook page, indieescapefacebook.com on the Indie Escape, where you can also like our Facebook page. We have a lot of things going on right now as we progress towards the holiday season. And I'm going to go through them with you really quick before I let you go. Again, Candy Cane Lane, perfectly acceptable, fun comic movie with Eddie Murphy. And can't we all use a little Eddie Murphy? New Eddie Murphy. Like, new Eddie Murphy is, you know, we haven't had Eddie Murphy doing a lot of stuff recently. I mean, we have Beverly Hills Cop with the Axel Foley movie coming. But it's, you know, it's been few and far between. He was in You People. He was in Coming to America. He was in Dolomite Is My Name. But he hasn't been doing a lot of movies. So I'm a big believer in some Eddie Murphy is better than no Eddie Murphy. So by all means, enjoy Candy Cane Lane on Amazon Prime if you have it. Godzilla Minus One is playing in theaters. Find the biggest, loudest screen you can have, and there's nothing at the end except a really cool, progressively louder roar. But stuff coming up on our brand. I of course do a generation movie with JW and Rich. That's every Monday night at 10. This week we have the amazing Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant and Loretta Young and David Niven. And that'll be at Monday, December 4th at 10 p.m. With, of course, on-screen, YouTube channel, Twitter, and Facebook page, all kinds of stuff going on. It is a great movie. You can find it a lot of places. It's a wonderful Christmas movie with an exemplary performance from Cary Grant and David Niven, and Loretta Young is absolutely breathtaking. And just charming and charismatic. And all of the leads in this movie are charming and charismatic. It's a fantastic movie. We're doing that on Monday. Then, coming up Tuesday at 9 p.m., we're doing Loud Nerdy with Kyle Defina, myself, and Jerry Kimura. I hope you can join us. We'll be talking about different things. I'll definitely be talking about Furiosa again, because it's one of those trailers that's just, it gets your blood pumping a little bit. But have a great week. Go see a movie. Go watch a movie. Candy Cane Lane's perfect if you want to watch something with the family tonight. Pop some popcorn at home. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day, and we'll see everybody Monday night for Generation Movie and The Bishop's Wife. Watch The Bishop's Wife, and then come watch the movie with us. Come talk about the movie with us on Monday. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.